Hello and welcome to my reflection on one of the Gospel readings set for this Sunday, and this is from St John's Gospel, chapter 12, verses 20 to 33. John records this. Now there were some Greeks among those who went up to worship at the festival. They came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, with a request. "Sir," they said, "we would like to see Jesus." Philip went to tell Andrew. Andrew and Philip, in turn, told Jesus. Jesus replied, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Very truly, I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Anyone who loves their life will lose it, while anyone who hates their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, my servant also will be. My Father will honour the one who serves me. Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this very reason I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name." Then a voice came from heaven. "I have glorified it and will glorify it again." The crowd that was there and heard it said it had thundered. Others said an angel had spoken to him. Jesus said, "This voice was for your benefit, not mine. Now is the time for judgment on this world. Now the prince of this world will be driven out. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself." He said this to show the kind of death he was going to die. There are so many important points in this passage. It's difficult to know which ones to work with, which one to base a message around. I suppose that the most challenging line could be verse 24, where Jesus says, "Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds." What is the message he's trying to tell his followers, and what can we learn from it? Now, the preceding chapter in John's Gospel has John recording that the leading priests of the day were plotting to have Jesus killed. That's chapter 11, verse 53. They were worried that if he, Jesus, continued performing miracles, because he had just raised Lazarus from the dead, then the people would start to follow him in droves, which could destabilise the situation in Jerusalem, leading to the intervention of the Roman army. We can read that again, as I said, in John chapter 11, verses 45 to 49. So Jesus is again preparing his followers for the events that are to come, and additionally giving them an explanation of what will follow his death, using the analogy of a wheat seed, something the people of the day would have understood very well. He explains that his death will lead to a greater expansion of his ministry, in the same way that one seed of wheat, when planted, will produce many future seeds, or when ground flour. When we look at chapters 11 and 12 of John's Gospel, we see an interesting comparison between the two main characters, Jesus and Caiaphas. Caiaphas was high priest for 18 years, and he was the leader of the Sadducees, an elite and wealthy religious group who were opposed to the teaching of Jesus because it was not a message they could accept. They did not believe in the resurrection. We can read that in Matthew 22 verse 23. And they could not accept a kingdom where leaders served the people. Even when God raised Jesus from the dead, they would not accept the statements from the guards and instead bribed them to lie. That's in Matthew chapter 28 verse 13. Jesus endangered their comfortable relationship with the Roman government, and so they wanted him dead, and all who believed and represented that future. Jesus knew that his crucifixion lay ahead of him, and his human side did not really want to go through it. He knew he would have to take the sins of the world onto himself, and that would separate him from God. And so he asked for deliverance from the event. Matthew 26 verse 39. However, for our sake, he chose to follow God's will and undergo the humiliation and sacrifice in order that we might be redeemed. Jesus said no to his human desires so that he could obey God and bring him the glory through his redemptive act and his own eventual resurrection. The contrast between Jesus and Caiaphas is stark. One is set on his own personal status, position, and to some extent security, while Jesus discards his own safety to fulfill the reason why he came to earth. In life, we will come across people like Caiaphas, those to whom status and power are more important than the impact they will have on the people they should be serving. I expect we can all bring innumerable world leaders to mind who we think can fit that description, and possibly people we have also had to work with or do work with. Jesus' approach to the path that lay ahead of him shows us how to follow God's will. We may never have to face that ultimate consequence that Jesus did in the scriptures that follow today's passage, but it shows the extreme to which Jesus was willing to go to lay down his life for all of us. That's a crucial point, that Jesus' sacrifice was for all people. The opening today's reading shows that his message was even then reaching out to people outside the Jewish faith. Remember Jesus healing the Roman officer's servant in Matthew 8 verses 5 to 10, or the woman at Sidon, again in Matthew 15 verses 21 to 22, or the woman at the well in John's Gospel, chapter 4 verse 29. The good news of Jesus Christ is for all people, and all who believe in him will be saved. One seed, when planted, can take root and grow and produce many more seeds, which will eventually produce an abundant crop. Will you let that seed, that knowledge of Jesus Christ, grow in you? Can we do whatever God asks us to do and so bring him the glory, irrespective of the cost to our status? So we have to choose between the fleeting power, prestige and pleasure of this life and the eternal life that God offers to those who believe in Jesus Christ his Son. The choice is yours and mine. What will you choose? Thank you.